Right now, millions of men are doing something that would have been unthinkable 50 years ago. They're saying no to marriage, not because they're broken, not because they're afraid, but for reasons society refuses to acknowledge. By the end of this video, you'll understand why everything you've been told about unmarried men is wrong. And if you're one of them, you'll finally have the words to explain what you've been feeling all along. For generations, the script was non-negotiable. Graduate, career, marriage, kids, in that order. No questions asked. But something fundamental has shifted. More men in their 30s and 40s are unmarried than at any point in modern history. Society calls them commitment phobes, eternal boys, impossibly picky. But what if we've got it completely backward? Today, we're diving into the real psychology behind this phenomenon. No judgment, no platitudes, just truth. Here's what nobody's talking about. Marriage used to be a necessity. Financial security, social acceptance, a roof over your head. You needed it to survive. Today, it's optional. And when something becomes optional, it becomes a choice. And when it becomes a choice, standards skyrocket. These men aren't anti-marriage. They're pro-exceptional marriage. There's a massive difference. They've set an internal threshold so high that most relationships don't clear it. They're not looking for a wife. They're searching for the partner, someone who matches them intellectually, emotionally, adventurously, an actual equal. And here's the kicker. They'd rather be single forever than settle for mediocrity. This isn't fear of commitment. This is commitment to a specific, high-stakes vision that refuses to compromise. When you're already content, fulfilled, and thriving alone, adding another person becomes the highest-stakes decision of your life. Why would you lower the bar? Let's talk numbers, cold, hard economics. 50% of marriages end. For higher earners, divorce can be financially devastating. We're talking decades of wealth accumulation wiped out. Alimony, asset splits, legal fees that drained six figures. These men have run the calculations. They've watched fathers, uncles, friends lose half of everything they built. They're operating on a risk assessment model inherited from the casualties around them. This isn't cynicism, it's pattern recognition. They're trying to de-risk the single biggest contract they'll ever sign. They're waiting for 100% certainty before pulling the trigger. The tragic irony? That certainty may never arrive. So they wait and wait, frozen by the magnitude of what could go wrong. In their minds, the question isn't, why not marry? It's why risk everything? A century ago, a man was a finished product by 25. Career established, identity formed, ready to build. Today, at 25, he's just getting started. He's launching a career in an unstable economy. He's buried in student debt. He's still discovering who he is. His prefrontal cortex literally just finished developing. Modern male adulthood has expanded by decades. And during this expansion, there are missions to complete. Build the career, travel the world, master a craft, explore identities. Marriage, in this context, feels like closing doors instead of opening them. He fears that saying "I do" means saying "I don't" to personal growth, adventure, career risks, geographic freedom. He's not avoiding responsibility. He's fulfilling what he believes is his first responsibility, to his own potential, to become someone worthy of partnership. The question haunting him: how can I be a great partner when I haven't become my best self yet? Ask any man today, what does a good husband look like? Watch him struggle to answer. The template has vanished. In the past, the role was crystal clear: provider, protector, father. You knew what success looked like. Today, it's an impossible puzzle. Emotional confidant, equal co-parent, domestic partner, career supporter, vulnerable yet strong, sensitive yet masculine. The goalposts shift constantly, and the rule book keeps getting rewritten. This ambiguity is paralyzing. Without a clear model, men think, am I ready to be all of that? The pressure to perform this complex, contradictory role perfectly leads to perpetual procrastination. He delays until he's figured it all out. But here's the trap. You can't figure out marriage outside of marriage. So he waits for an answer that only experience can provide. And here's the most important point. For some men, traditional milestones aren't the meaning they were promised to be. Marriage and kids aren't universal sources of fulfillment. Their purpose flows from work, creative pursuits, friendships, communities, or the freedom to contribute to the world uniquely. These aren't consolation prizes for failing to marry. These are primary sources of meaning. This isn't failure to launch. It's conscious life design. A deliberate rejection of one-size-fits-all happiness formulas. Not everyone finds their purpose in partnership. And that's not a problem to fix. It's a valid path to honor. So what's actually happening? The psychology of the man who doesn't marry on time isn't pathology. It's not brokenness. It's a complex web of elevated standards transforming marriage from necessity to premium choice. Rational risk calculation in an era of devastating divorce consequences. Extended self-discovery in a world that demands more before you're ready. Navigating unprecedented role ambiguity without a cultural blueprint. And for some, choosing an alternative life script entirely. These men aren't listening to the biological clock or the social clock. They're listening to their internal clock, and it hasn't chimed yet. Understanding this isn't about making excuses. It's about replacing judgment with empathy. It's about seeing these individuals not as defective or terrified, but as people making deliberate choices in an impossibly complex landscape. The question isn't, what's wrong with them? The question is, what has changed in our world that makes this the rational response for millions of men? Now I want to hear from you. Is this analysis accurate, or is there another dimension we're missing? Drop your perspective in the comments. Let's have a real conversation. If this shifted your perspective, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into what makes us human. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.